we are live, and I'm just going to let you know before we start that my head is spinning from all this discussion. Tiff, how was Mastery Chat?
It was awesome. It was everything I wanted it to be. I'm so excited I can't even talk. There was debate, there was disagreement, there was conversation and questions, and it was perfect.
It was, exactly. I'm actually a little frustrated with you about this chat, to be honest with you, Tiffany. I love Thursdays, but the hour usually feels like plenty to me. It's like just enough to get enough resources, really talk to Mastery Chat people. But this, I mean, like, I don't know where my hour just went. Like, it feels like it was a 15-minute chat. And I still, just so you know, at 8 o'clock my time on Central Time, so like literally 6 minutes ago, I was still tweeting about question 1 because I was still so distraught on it. I'm so mad. And so as we get into this, for those of you that are live with us, if you were in the chat or not, we have to talk about the majority of your questions. And I don't know how we're going to fit it in because like we also need to like go to bed at some point, but I have so many ideas.
It was perfect. It was great. Like I'm still, my head's spinning, guys. Like because there are so many good conversations. And like you said, I have probably 100 conversations that I really like. So a lot of times I go back and I respond to people in the conversations because not only am I interested in what they have to say, but I want them to know that I want to continue hearing what they have to say. But I have like 100 conversations that I need to go back into because like I need to learn more. Like the people who were sharing their ideas and sharing their disagreements, I'm like, yes, give it to me. I feed off of it. And I think that the more that we can feed off of and grow from this disagreement, the better off we are all going to be as educators.
I agree with you. So out of all the questions you had, which one do you think, I don't know if I should phrase it like which one was more interesting to you or which one did you see so many different opinions? I want to ask you all the questions at once. So just which question was most interesting?
Oh, that's okay. So the interesting one is weird. Like I think the one that, oh gosh, I don't even know if okay. So I was going to say, I think the one that had like the most controversy, I guess, would probably be the lecture question.
Question 1.
Question 1, right? Which is why we're all still tweeting about question 1, right? Oh. Which is awesome. And honestly, that's why I put it first, because I knew that it was going to be something that would take people time to address, time to think about, and I didn't want to rush those conversations. So that's why it was number 1. And I just,
can you summarize
what? Go ahead.
Can you summarize what you saw? Because for those people that are listening, our viewers that maybe didn't participate in the chat, could you give like a general summary of how did that question start? What responses did you see? And was there any point in time in the chat where you saw like a shift happening? Because for me, for question 1, the reason I'm alluding to this is because I saw a lot of consistency and then there was a huge shift and the entire group went like, oh.
So the topic in general, for those of you who weren't in the chat, was about lecture. Should it be there? Should it not be there? Like, should we use it? Should we not use it? And I very intentionally phrased all of these questions as black and white. Pick a side, argue your side. Because it's really easy for everybody to say, well, the answer is it depends. And I people still did that, but I didn't want them to. I wanted them to really like dig into it. And a lot of the people in our Mastery Chat family are similar in the way they think about lecture, and I knew they were going to be. A lot of them feel that lecture doesn't necessarily have a place in the classroom, that it is overused, ineffective, etc. One of the reasons I was so excited about this is because I knew that there were some people that were going to participate in the chat that had very different views from that. And I was eager to see that perspective. One of them is Blake. His hashtag or handle is the Effortful Educator, I think. He's got a blog. He is really well-versed in research and very focused on evidence-based practices. And so he is an advocate for lecture. And so I was so glad when he said he was going to be in the chat, because I'm like, yeah, we're going to have good stuff. So I think that more than anything, what I noticed in terms of a shift was that people were like, oh, maybe there's more to think about here. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's something I haven't considered in terms of lecture. Not necessarily maybe I should start lecturing tomorrow, but perhaps I need to reframe my thinking. What did you see? Because we always see like we're in the same chat, but we're not.
I know. And I agree with everything you said, but for me, there was an immediate like off the road during the lecturing. Here's why. So I agree with you that most people in the chat said, nope, sorry, lecturing doesn't exist in my room. I was one of those people. I use the mastery framework, the grid method. I think that a lot of that is focusing on getting students what they need in the moment. And I don't think there's much place for a lot of full class instruction. But I do a mini lesson that's like 6 to 8 minutes at the start of every single day, which is it's whole class instruction. Some people would consider that a lecture. So there was a lot of conversation about the difference between lecture and full class instruction, or if they were the same. We actually posted the same poll in Twitter, and we posted it on our Instagram account. So we really were trying to get feedback. For me, an entire shift was made when people started asking, those that cared about lecturing started saying, all right, if you don't believe in lecturing, give me your thoughts. You must hate TED Talks. And I was like, oh man, I love TED Talks.
I love TED Talks.
Right? I just do. Like my dream, I will know that my life is complete if I ever get to do a TED Talk, right? Like those are so renowned. And you're right that a lot of those TED Talks, even though they're, between usually 20 to 30 minutes, right? I don't really know that specifically, but
20 minutes,
they're lectures. They are. It's somebody on stage who always looks fabulous with a cool microphone and a slideshow. And they're usually doing some sort of lecture to a large audience. And so I think that a lot of people's mind shifted saying from absolutely not to, oh, maybe? And I definitely don't want people going back to their classroom tomorrow doing a 45-minute lecture. That is not at all what I'm saying. But there really was a shift, I think, in my mind and those that I was reading of, okay, so does it have a place in time? Is there a way to do a lecture effectively? And could that happen frequently, or is it just kind of like an every so often? And that was the discussion I couldn't get out of the whole chat. I mean, you posted that at like 7:04 my time, Central Time, and I was still talking about it the next top of the hour. So I just,
I love TED Talks too. And I don't know many people who don't find some significant value in TED Talks. And I had a 7th grade science teacher who pretty much exclusively lectured, and it was my favorite class of all time. And I learned more from that man than I think I learned from any other educator in my entire life. And so there's this interesting dichotomy, right? Because I also really avoid extended periods of me talking. But here's where I think things get twisted, and why I think lecture is such a hot button controversial topic. It's because we have different definitions, right? Like when you say lecture to somebody who is rather anti-lecture, what do they think?
Oh, old man, gray hair in front of a podium talking in monotone.
Exactly. That's not what lecture is. It's this mental image we have of lecture. And is that the way lecture is done sometimes in classrooms right now? Well, not right now, it's night, but in classrooms around our country? Absolutely. But that is not an exclusive definition of lecture. There's mini lecture, but what does mini lecture mean? What does whole group instruction mean and look like, and what should it mean? And then I always think this one's fascinating. So you guys know Hattie and Hattie's like the ranking of effective learning strategies.
Yep.
One of the ones that's really high, you want to guess?
Lecture?
Direct instruction. really high. But here's where it gets even more complicated, because I've heard some people say, okay, well, yeah, but look, direct instruction in Hattie's hierarchy is really effective. But if you dig deeper and you study what that definition of direct instruction is, it is not a 45-minute lecture. It's just different. So we get really riled up about this lecture topic, and we say all sorts of like, lecture is bad, lecture is good, whatever. But it's much more nuanced than that, you know? And like, I will say, and I'll say, I don't like to lecture, and I don't think lecture is a very effective practice, but that's because I have the schema of lecture the same way you do. And so we just need to open up to, are we speaking the same language? Because if we're not, then we're not communicating.
So you sent out a poll at the end asking people, it was right before question 2, what are your thoughts on lecturing? And I don't remember how you phrased it. Do you have it in front of you, or I
have been trying to find it this whole chat. Like, it should just be on my page, right?
Yeah. So what I remember, it was like, yes, absolutely. It was like a yes and a no. But the way you wrote it, I actually did say, yes, it has a place and time, which was the opposite of what I thought. I thought I'd be like, absolutely not, no. I think that was the option. It was like no, or yes, there's a place and time, or whatever. And I picked yes, place and time. And I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like dirty.
So I found it. Okay. So the poll said, while you're waiting, take this poll. Your final answer on lecture is, yes, I intentionally only put 2 options. Make a choice. One option was, heck no, not in my room. And the other was, yes, it's a valuable tool. Heck no had 40%. Yes, it's a valuable tool had 60.
I think that a lot of that 60 was people like me who said, no, I don't think so. But then after they heard other thoughts of those other people, they were like, I think that it's a tool. It's like a textbook, right? Don't even get me into textbooks, but it's like a tool. It's a resource you can choose to use every so often, but it's not the curriculum. And that's, I think, how I've developed my understanding of lecturing. It's not the only way to do it, but there's opportunities for it in the classroom.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I was going for in this chat, right? Is let's shift somebody's thinking. And that just makes me so excited. And okay, so Blake, at the end, I don't know if you saw this, but he posted something like, I may have been the minority in this chat, but I'm glad to have been a part of it and having this discussion. And so I need to send him a message and be like, Blake, look at this. Look at these poll results. It's, we're not here and here. We're here and here and not speaking the same language. And that's what we need. As educators, it is not only what we should do, but it is our responsibility to do it. To communicate clearly with each other. So
Tiff, was there another question that you felt like after lecturing that was still probably going on most of the chat, but do you had other topics that were really, really valuable? So what was like your second favorite one?
Standardized testing.
Oh, really? That wasn't mine. Okay, let's talk about that one. What was your thoughts on standardized testing?
There is so much rage and anger about standardized testing in our schools today and from teachers. And almost exclusively what I hear from people being vocal about it is that they don't like it. It takes up too much time. It's stressful for students. It's all of these different things. But as you may know, Ray, I am a data hound. I love numbers. I love charts and graphs and Excel. And I think we can learn so much about ourselves, our world, each other through data. So I like standardized tests.
Interesting.
I don't think the standardized tests that we have are necessarily the most effective approach to standardized tests, but I do like them. And so that was really interesting for me. Like, I was looking out for the answers for that question.
Yeah, I agree with what you just summarized, because I saw a lot of people saying that they hated standardized testing, but their reasoning really had to do with time. That was my tweet that I sent out was, to be honest, I love data. That's really what fuels my instruction day in, day out. Not always the standardized test data, but data in general, getting feedback from students. I mean, formative, summative assessments. That's how we continue to reflect and grow in our instruction. And so standardized testing, my argument was, the data is great, but I really hate the time it takes. And that really is my biggest criticism. I agree with you that the standardized tests that we have now are not necessarily the best, but it does give us a data point that we may not otherwise get. And that is something for a moment, regardless of where you are, to consider. And my biggest issue, like I said in the chat, was I hate being so invested in learning, getting students excited, and then it's like, please pause, let's standardize tests. And so I'm not sure how to fix all of those dilemmas, but I agree with you that data is valuable. And I think that there are a lot of people that had that same like 1 foot in, 1 foot out mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to interrupt you real quick, but this shows us that we have absolutely 0 comments. So if you're watching this and you're leaving comments, I don't think we're seeing them.
Yeah, I actually already checked on my phone to make sure that we were streaming, because I was concerned. Usually we have a lot of people being like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Great chat. And I haven't seen that either, but we are live. So look, this is us live. Yes.
Excellent. I'm glad that you checked. Okay. Another interesting conversation. So you're checking to see comments if anybody says something we should respond to?
Yes, I haven't seen any yet, but if you're around, please feel free to pop in and say hi.
So another thing with the standardized testing is, what was I going to say? Oh, somebody said, well, aren't we all progress monitoring anyway? Like, isn't that something that we as teachers are doing on a regular basis? And I thought to myself, well, it's something that I do all the time, constantly, but it's not something that everybody does. And so is there a benefit to standardized testing that allows us to have a data point for all teachers and all students to kind of force that progress monitoring? Or is it something that's really not the best tool to make that progress monitoring happen? You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, there's just a lot of questions about that one.
I really think that this leads into the second one that I saw as the hot topic. When I asked you earlier after lecturing what other topic was like really big for you, you said standardized testing. For me, that shift was the national standards, the Common Core standards.
So they go in line, right?
They do go in line. That's what I was going to say, is that really that whole concept of national, that whole concept of a standardized something that everyone's included in, those, while they were separate questions, really did mirror each other, that people found benefits and cons. It's funny. I think that kind of hit home for me because, okay, right or wrong, I'm a huge advocate for Common Core, like national standards. And to be honest, it's something that my family debate with me constantly. Like, I think that comes up at dinner every time I'm up in Chicago and we're all sitting down at a nice dinner, and my father will lean in and be like, so I heard a new thing about Common Core. And I'm like, oh my God. So I think that one, coupled with the standardized test, it seemed like there were similar controversies with them.
Absolutely. And, I love Common Core too. I have some extended family members who like to post things about ridiculous Common Core math problems. And I'm like, you just don't get it.
Yeah.
I love national standards, but I think once again, right, this is a question of a common language. We do not have a common language. When I say national standards, that to me means a path, a map, a guide. It doesn't mean that I can't take that journey and that path and, meander around on it. It just means like, hey, you want to get from A to B. How you get there? Get there. And so a lot of these things are all really kind of interwoven and tied together, right? So we have standardized testing, national standards. We have, I didn't even bring up textbooks in this chat, but we have the textbook conversation, right?
Yeah.
So national standards have been directly linked in a lot of people's minds with standardized testing. And then for teachers, they think national standards, they think textbooks, which some textbooks are very, very prescriptive, right? So we're all talking about different things and thinking that we're talking about the same thing. Yeah, and it's just not working,
Yeah.
So interesting. But you know what? I have the poll up for standardized testing. If you want to know what the survey says.
I do.
83% went one way. 17% went the other way. Which one do you think had the most?
against what had the most.
Yeah, 83% said that it's wasteful and harmful. So that was interesting.
Interesting.
I'm trying to find
agree with it, but it's interesting.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the one about national standards, but I can't find it. So
I need to look back. I put a chat out, a poll out, kind of like halfway through as all this was bubbling up, right? Like at about the 30-minute mark, there was like so much depth going on in this chat. And I was like, rank yourself. Was this the best chat ever? A pretty good chat? Not interested? And like everyone was like, this is amazing. So that was my poll I wanted to share with you. Great job hosting, Tiff.
Thank you. It's good stuff. It's good thinking, an important conversation that needs to be had for all of us.
So I know that we have people watching.
I have results.
Oh, good.
I just found it. 64% said yes, we need national standards, and 36% said no, flexibility is better. So
interesting that they had different. Oh, sorry. I think I interrupted you. Go ahead.
You're okay. An argument against national standards, which I understand in some sense, is that different regions of the country are different and have different circumstances that may justify in some way slightly different standards. I don't think that's enough of an argument because I think national standards can be inclusive enough and flexible enough, but that is where some people come from on the national standard front. So.
One part that I connected with those national standards was people talking about moving, right? You move state to state, and we end up having, and I'm a math person in terms of what I teach, so I'm thinking of math, like in one state you teach fractions in second grade, in the next state you teach fractions in third grade, you move, and now you've missed all of the basics of fractions because the standards didn't align. You know, like those gaps in understanding that can develop, you know.
Yeah, and then it's really hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also sharing resources. When you have national standards, I can share direct resources with a teacher in California. You know what I mean? Like I can share it really, really widely. Whereas if it's Ohio standards or if it's specific standards, I can't do that as well.
Well, and we talk about that when we go in to work with districts. I mean, or conferences. Like we go in and we have to ask all the same questions all over again because their standards might be slightly different, and then we have to compare them with other standards that are slightly different and try and make sure that we're supporting all the teachers. But, you know, if it was more standardized, those misconceptions wouldn't always be the case. But
yeah. All right.
I know that we have a lot of people watching, which I so appreciate, and no comments. If you guys want to comment, we just must not be getting them. But I do, Tiff, I refuse to get off this talk, even though I know I've been talking for a while, until we discuss retakes, because my blood's boiling.
It's boiling? Okay, so first tell me why it's boiling. And then I'm going to share the results with you.
Okay, I love retakes. I have such a strong opinion on this. And I mean, we do a lot of training on supporting teachers on how to make this manageable. So I saw so many more people against retakes than I expected to.
Did you?
I did. And a lot of the reasons, and I'm so sorry if I'm like generalizing, but a lot of the reasons was like, it's too much work. And for me, I was like, ugh!
Yeah, we were in different chats.
Yeah?
Which should give you great hope because I didn't see that comment once. The comments that I saw about retakes, and most of them were very open to retakes and reassessments, but the few comments I saw that kind of spoke out against them was the idea that, and this one stood out for me, when you offer retakes, some students take that as an advantage to do like a soft run of the assessment because they know that they're going to get a retake anyway. And I think that's an interesting perspective, and it's something that we shouldn't ignore, right? I do think, though, that there are solutions to that specific problem.
I agree.
That may be outside the retake structure that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to look on my phone of the favorite tweet. It was from Jerry. I'm sorry. I'm like totally on my phone trying to find it. But okay, maybe is this it? I'm so sorry. I'm stalling.
No, Ray, you're okay. You're okay.
Okay.
Well, did you find it?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So while you're talking about that, I'm going to add some more fuel to the fire that we were in different chats, because the poll that we did, I actually gave people 3 options. I was so nice. But I said, should students get retakes, and should there be requirements for them to get the retakes? So yes, unconditional retakes no matter what was an option. Yes, conditionally. So like you have to do something or whatever to get retakes, and no retakes whatsoever. So 34% said that yes, students should get them unconditionally.
Wow. Okay.
62% said yes, they should get them with conditions.
Okay.
4% said no way.
Okay, that's not bad. I like the majority of that. That's great.
Yeah.
This was my favorite like chat that I was a part of today, and I'm sorry I'm reading off my phone. I'm trying to be specific. So Jerry, who's fantastic, you should go look up Jerry, says that essentially that retakes is a awful like thing, because his reasoning is, does your doctor get to retest their surgery on you? Does an engineer get to retest when he built a bad bridge? ? Kids should be taught to do it right the first time. As a reader through Twitter, I was like, interesting. I appreciated his thoughts. And then Laura Spencer jumped in and said, my doctor actually just retested my blood because the results were inconclusive. And I was like, okay, so maybe doctors do occasionally get an opportunity to check out the work they've done. And so it was interesting to go back and forth on talking about retakes in a sense that was completely removed from the classroom and more in our immediate profession. So my follow-up to that is, Tiff, in your immediate life, I know that you have 2 essentially full-time jobs, but do you feel like you get the opportunity to do retakes in your life?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that there are only a handful of situations that you do not get a redo. Interestingly, perhaps the majority of those situations where you do not get a redo is in relationships with other people. You know what I mean? Like when I'm thinking in my head, like, when do I not get a second chance? It's when I've like really messed up or hurt somebody or something like that, right? Mm-hmm. But when it comes to my work, if I plan a terrible lesson, I can say, hey guys, that was a terrible lesson. Let's give it another shot tomorrow. Mm-hmm. If I cook dinner for my kids and I burn it, I can try and cook spaghetti again. It's possible. You know what I mean? Like if I fail a driver's license test, I get another retake. You know what I mean? So I feel like most situations in our lives do allow retakes. And as a teacher, if I've messed up, my principal doesn't come up and fire me on the spot. They don't. If I'm an engineer, first of all, my husband is an engineer. Nobody's going to build that bridge without 8 other people looking at it and reviewing the designs and looking at it from this perspective. And then the construction crew looks at it too. And so there are built-in opportunities for revision and redos. And so I understand that argument. I get where people are coming from with that, because I think it also comes along with I don't want to enable these young people to take advantage of this situation. Mm-hmm. And so I understand that, but I don't think they're seeing the whole picture.
I love everything you said.
Win!
Yeah. Drop the mic, done.
Like I don't want to discount, I know that we have some people watching who hang out with us on Twitter who disagree with that. And what I want more than anything is for you to engage in conversation with us about it. Yeah. So I have my opinion. I want to hear yours. And I want to make sure, again, that we're speaking the same language. Is our language in line? Because we cannot communicate until we're speaking the same language.
If this chat did anything for me, it was reinforcing how valuable it is to talk to people who do not agree with me. And so please reach out, because my mind has been blown like 1,200 times within the past 60 minutes, and I will need more to refuel. So please reach out.
Great. I'm so excited by how it went, and I'm going to probably spend the next 3 hours on Twitter saying, thank you. You got, like, I want to send a personal message to every person that participated tonight because it would not have been what it was without people's openness and willingness to engage in these conversations. So,
and we were trending. So
our whole crew, what?
And we were trending. So it's kind of a big deal. So Tiffany, the best person ever to follow up your epic chat is hosting next week.
Who?
Roman.
We love Roman.
I know. He's hosting.
Oh my God. Is he going to do the post chat live?
I hope so. Roman is so fabulous at like talking on camera and having those rich discussions afterwards. So I hope he comes live. Hint, 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 Roman. I hope he comes live after.
He's also so incredibly kind. Like in every interaction he has online, on video, like he's just the kindest man. I don't know him in person, but that's my impression.
His hashtag is be kind. So.
No way. Is Brandy Miller a part of that too?
I like Brandy Miller. I'm not sure. Oh my gosh. All these comments just appeared on our feed.
What?
Guys, I'm so sorry. All of a sudden it was like, whoosh, and I just got all of them loaded.
I see them.
Guys, we really love that you commented. I'm so sorry that they were not here. I was trying not to freak out before, but it was super weird that we didn't see your comments. I was trying to act like it was no big deal.
I was having flashbacks to like our first mastery chat when we went live and like nobody was watching.
Well, we could see that we had a ton of people watching, and I'm like, really? None of you can say hi? Rude.
We're talking about being open-minded and conversing, and nobody's saying, oh, my sister, Ray, my sister. Jessica Sabin Orlovsky. Give her a shout out. I'm not sure why she said, but she did, and I love her. If you're still watching, sister, you have to say something else because I love you.
Love it.
Oh, she's okay. So guys, she's a teacher too. She is a 7th grade English teacher and is a rock star. I love her. She's awesome. Okay. Anyway. Oh, I'm reading all the comments now. So cool.
Can I just take one moment, flashback, Tiff, when we went live that one time and it was to no one and we thought we were live and we weren't. And so thank God we were actually live this time.
When was that? I remember.
It was like, the last time it was you and me.
And it was like Jeff, live somewhere.
Yeah, Jeff and Chad were like, good luck, ladies, you got the live. And then we were talking and you're like, Ray, no one's here.
I remember that. This is weird.
Yes. Anyway, well, thank you to all of you commenting. I'm excited to go back and read some of these because a few people have written like paragraphs, and I love when you do that. But we'll are so excited
in the comments, okay, guys? We'll go back and read them and then respond in the comments.
We will. And Roman will be, well, I don't know if he'll be live with us. I really hope so. But he is hosting our Twitter chat next Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Yes.
No. Yes?
Yes. That's the time.
7 o'clock Central. And we are going to talk all with him about all the good things. I actually don't know his topic. Do you, Tiff?
I can tell you because Amber posted it.
Oh,
she said it is empowering students, giving them a voice. And it does say Roman and Brandy Miller. So that's awesome.
Love it.
Okay. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight. And go back to Twitter. Continue to add your voice to the conversation. And we just want to hear what you have to say. As always, you're awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.